Hi everyone, and welcome back to your English learning channel. Today, we have a special lesson planned. We're going to listen to a conversation between two friends, Alex and Maya, as they discuss a really important global issue, climate change. Why this topic? Well, it's relevant, and it allows us to explore some fantastic vocabulary, common idioms, and useful phrases for expressing opinions, agreeing, disagreeing politely, and explaining complex ideas in English. As you listen, pay attention to the language they use. We'll break down some key parts later, but for now, let's join Alex and Maya at the coffee shop. Remember to focus on how they communicate. Let's listen in.
This is just what I needed. It feels strangely warm for April, doesn't it? Last week we had that freak hailstorm, and now it feels like summer's arrived early.
Tell me about it. The weather seems completely off-kilter lately. It actually got me thinking more seriously about climate change again.
Yeah, me too. You hear about it all the time, but sometimes it feels overwhelming. Like, I know it's happening, but getting my head around the specifics and what it really means day to day is tough.
I completely understand that feeling. It is overwhelming. But I think talking about it helps. Maybe we could chat about it now? I've been doing a bit of reading recently.
I'd actually appreciate that. Seriously. Sometimes the news reports just throw statistics at you, and it's hard to connect the dots. Where do we even start? Is it just about the planet getting warmer?
That's a great starting point. Often, people confuse weather with climate. The weird weather we're seeing, like the heat wave, then hail, that's weather. It's short-term atmospheric conditions. Climate, on the other hand, refers to the long-term weather patterns in a particular region or globally, averaged over decades or longer.
Okay, so climate change means the long-term average is changing, not just one weirdly hot week?
Exactly. Global warming, which you hear a lot about, is a key aspect of climate change. It refers specifically to the long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre-industrial period due to human activities. But climate change is broader. It includes warming and the side effects of that warming, like changes in precipitation patterns, more frequent extreme weather events, melting glaciers, and rising sea levels.
Right, side effects. That makes sense. So, the heat isn't the only problem. It causes a knock-on effect.
Precisely. Think of it like a fever in a person. The high temperature is the main symptom, like global warming. But it causes other problems too. Chills, aches, dehydration, like those side effects we mentioned.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So, what's causing this long-term change? I know fossil fuels are involved.
They're a major culprit. Yes, it boils down to the greenhouse effect. Are you familiar with how that works?
Sort of? Gases trapping heat?
That's the gist of it. The Earth gets energy from the sun. Some of this energy is reflected back into space, and some is absorbed, warming the planet. Naturally occurring greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, like carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, trap some of this heat, like the glass roof of a greenhouse. This natural effect is actually essential for life. Without it, Earth would be freezing.
Okay, so the greenhouse effect itself isn't bad?
Not inherently, no. The problem is that human activities since the Industrial Revolution, mainly burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas for energy, plus deforestation and certain industrial and agricultural practices, have drastically increased the concentration of these greenhouse gases in the atmosphere.
So we've essentially thickened the glass roof of the greenhouse, trapping more heat than is natural?
That's a perfect analogy. We've enhanced the natural greenhouse effect, leading to the warming trend we call global warming, which drives broader climate change.
Wow. Okay. It's much clearer when you put it like that. So, these side effects or impacts, what are we actually seeing? You mentioned extreme weather.
Yes. Think more intense heat waves, more severe droughts in some areas, and heavier rainfall and flooding in others. We're also seeing stronger hurricanes and typhoons because they draw energy from warmer ocean waters. Dot.
That sounds pretty scary. And the rising sea levels? That's from ice melting?
Primarily, yes. Two main reasons: melting glaciers and ice sheets, like in Greenland and Antarctica, add water to the oceans. Secondly, as ocean water warms, it expands. This is called thermal expansion. Both contribute to rising sea levels, threatening coastal communities and ecosystems.
Coastal communities? You mean entire cities could be affected?
Absolutely. Low-lying island nations are particularly vulnerable, but major coastal cities everywhere are facing risks. It also affects ecosystems, like coral reefs, which are bleaching due to warmer, more acidic oceans. And changes in temperature and rainfall patterns impact agriculture and biodiversity, plants and animals struggling to adapt.
It feels like everything is connected. You change one thing, and it ripples outwards.
It really does. It's a complex system.
So, this all sounds quite dire. What can actually be done? Is it too late?
That's the million-dollar question. Most scientists agree it's not too late to avoid the worst impacts, but it requires urgent and significant action. There are two main strategies we talk about: mitigation and adaptation.
Okay, what's the difference?
Mitigation means reducing the cause of the problem, primarily cutting greenhouse gas emissions. This involves transitioning away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and geothermal power. It also includes improving energy efficiency, protecting forests, which absorb CO2, and developing sustainable agricultural practices.
So, stopping the problem from getting worse?
Exactly. Adaptation, on the other hand, means adjusting to the climate change impacts that are already happening or are expected to happen. This could involve things like developing drought-resistant crops, building seawalls, or improving flood defenses, managing water resources more carefully, and having early warning systems for extreme weather events.
So, mitigation is prevention? Adaptation is coping?
You've got it. We desperately need both. We need to mitigate aggressively to limit future warming, and we need to adapt to protect ourselves from the changes already locked in.
It sounds like a massive undertaking. Transitioning entire energy systems, changing agricultural practices, that requires huge international cooperation and investment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest challenges. Getting nearly 200 countries on the same page is incredibly difficult. There are economic concerns, political disagreements, questions of fairness, who should pay more, developing versus developed nations, etc. International agreements like the Paris Agreement aim to provide a framework, but progress can be slow.
And then there's pushback, right? People or industries who benefit from the status quo?
Definitely. There's significant lobbying from the fossil fuel industry, and sometimes misinformation spread to create doubt about the science. It's important to get information from credible sources, like peer-reviewed scientific studies and reports from organizations like the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
That's a good point. It's easy to get confused by conflicting headlines. Taking things with a grain of salt is probably wise.
Very wise. Critical thinking is key.
So, beyond the big government and industry stuff, is there anything individuals like us can actually do that makes a difference? Sometimes it feels hopeless.
I know that feeling of helplessness, but individual actions do matter, especially when millions of people do them. Reducing our own carbon footprint is a start. This can mean things like using less energy at home, walking, cycling, or using public transport instead of driving. Eating less meat, especially beef and lamb, which have high emissions, reducing waste, and consuming less overall.
Okay, those are concrete things. Maybe not solving the whole problem single-handedly, but it's something.
Exactly. And perhaps even more importantly, individuals can use their voices. Talk to friends and family, gestures between them. Contact elected officials. Support businesses that prioritize sustainability. Participate in climate advocacy groups. Collective individual action drives broader societal and political change.
That makes sense. It's about creating a ripple effect, starting with ourselves and our communities. It's still daunting, but talking it through like this actually makes me feel a bit less anxious and more informed.
I feel the same. It's easy to fall into climate anxiety, but understanding the issues and focusing on solutions, even small ones, can bring a sense of agency. There are solutions, there is innovation happening, and there are lots of people working incredibly hard on this. It's not all doom and gloom, but it does require concerted effort.
Well, Maya, thanks, seriously. This has been incredibly helpful. You've really clarified a lot for me. I feel like I have a much better grasp of the situation now.
I'm glad. I find talking about it helps me process it too. It's complex and we're all learning. We should definitely talk more about this again sometime. Maybe we could look into local initiatives next time.
I'd like that. Let's plan on it. But for now, maybe another coffee? My treat for the excellent climate lesson.
Sounds good to me.
And that's the end of Alex and Maya's conversation. What did you think? Did you notice how they use different phrases to explain concepts, ask for clarification, and express their feelings? Vocabulary. Remember terms like off-kilter, greenhouse effect, mitigation, adaptation, carbon footprint, vulnerable, biodiversity. Try using them in your own sentences. Idioms. They used phrases like get my head around, knock-on effect, the gist of it, million-dollar question, on the same page, take with a grain of salt. These make your English sound more natural. Discussion strategies. Notice how Alex asked clarifying questions. So climate change means what? And how Maya used analogies. Think of it like a fever, to explain complex ideas. They also showed agreement. Exactly, you've got it, and expressed feelings. It feels overwhelming. It sounds pretty scary. Their conversation flowed logically from defining the problem to causes, impacts, solutions, and finally, personal reflections. This conversation is a great example of how English is used in real-life discussions about important topics. I encourage you to re-watch it, maybe pause and repeat some phrases. Try discussing climate change or another topic you care about with a friend or language partner using some of the language you heard today. What other topics would you like to see discussed in this format? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to K-Laura English Learners for more English learning content. Thanks for watching.